Come closer. I have unwelcome truths to whisper. Kislev has my protection. My people must fear me, so that I might better protect them. Kislev has my protection.
So this is Mother Ostankya. As sworn by the common folk across the Oblast, the horrifying legend of Mother Ostankya is real. While some consider her an apostate, others regard her as a guardian of Kislev, who metes out her wrath against any with ill intention against the land, be they Kislevite, foreign, or supernatural. She is rumored to have once been a powerful ice witch who long ago fell foul of the ice court. Or are such legends a mockery manifested by her hatred for the Covenant's strictures? Yet in times of war, still the hag comes to Kislev's aid, appearing beside the motherland's ranks, especially those left unsupported by the most rabid of Ursunite faith, commanding her cauldron's potent shadow spirits to expose in unspeakable ways. So, you'll probably know that Kislev is set up down here. That's where Katerin is set up, and of course Boris is over here, and Kostaltin is over here. However, Ostankya is up here, kind of in the chaos area. But, yeah. So, she has a different type of army because she can't even get normal Kislev armies unless she has a specific thing. I'll show you guys that if I can, the little dialogue that shows up for it. But she has things such as Akshina Ambushers, the Incarnate Elemental of Beast, which is that thing in the background there. that huge thing. Armor-piercing melee, anti-large, and causes terror because, well, wouldn't you be terrified if you saw that thing staring at you? I would. She has the Things in the Woods. She has giant spiders, and cave bats. That's her starting army. In case you're wondering, again, ignore the extended roster, except for some of the other. So there are some other like forest type of units that you can also have via like the wood elves. That I guess they kind of, was able to have carry over to this one, at least with the extended roster mod I have, which are like the Wildwood Fiends, the Ancient Leshiel, the Varkalak, and of course, different feral bears, and the little spider hatchlings, ugh. But a lot of these things, like, she has on her own, including these Bear Tamer and Wadcheck, although I think that might be another mod I have. Yeah, some of these other ones are also mods. Now, she can actually also get Ulrika because she is part of the Kislev faction. There's also, ignore some of these other ones here that, like, are named lords. Some of these are actually, like, part of the mods. So I, like Goat, Gotrek, and Felix, although that might be a separate thing, not a mod. I don't remember. But I believe also there's a new lore added in regards to this. I think it's, isn't it? Did I hear it's called Lore of the Hag, if I recall correctly? I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm trying to remember if she has... I'll guess I'll check when we get into the game. But in terms of what she has as a leader, she has Winds of Magic power reserve capacity for each resource-producing building. Global recruitment duration reduced for incarnate elemental beast units. Melee attack when fighting against armies that spread corruption. She's very against corruption. So she's like Boris. She's like, I'm going to go up into the chaos area and take them all down. Because, yeah, she's ultimately defending Kislev, but she is okay with them fearing her. Anyways. Also, melee defense +10 for spider hatchlings and giant spiders. And favored regiment +1 capacity for Mordheim Beowulfs, which are the Things in the Woods. She has targeting range +30% for spells. So she's actually a... hold on. Let me go ahead and show you here. She's actually a chariot unit. Yeah, so she's a legendary lord. She's like... Oh, gosh, what's his name? The guy for Nurgle. Oh yeah, Kugath. So she's like Kugath in that she's also a artillery unit. She's one of those rare artillery legendary lords that's actually an artillery unit. Although I guess technically a magic chariot is an artillery unit, but it's more of a cavalry unit. But she's more so okay with being an artillery unit where she's like on chariot, but she's like casting her abilities and spells from a long distance. So she's a spellcaster and she can fire while moving, which is great. She also has enemy wins a magic power reserve -5 per turn in the local region. She enables magic attacks for her army. And she has a miscast base chance of -50% for embedded Hag Witch heroes, which are, I guess, the new hero units that you can have, which are Hag Witches for either Lore of Beasts, Lore of Death, or Lore of Shadow. And I'll talk more about her campaign mechanics after we watch the intro. In Kislev, children, both rich and poor, scared into obedience with whispers of the dreaded hag in the woods. Yet the reality is far more horrifying than any child could conceive, for the old crone spoken about in such tales is no mere myth. Mother Ostankya, an elusive figure empowered by the land itself, draws her terrifying magic from woodland, fen, and oblast alike. Those with transgressions against the motherland, be they of this world or another, find no refuge from her vengeance, even on their own soil. To the distant north, where stands Kislev's abandoned watchtowers against the ruinous incursions, she brings her wrath. There can be no doubt. Her appearance so far from home is a portent of terrible curses soon to come. Mother Ostankya will get you.
Every winter, as the nights draw close and mists begin to thicken, the people of Kislev tell their children a tale always told in a whisper. From the dark heart of the woods, the Hag Mother watches. For those who bring destruction to the forests of the motherland, do so unto themselves. For every injustice comes retribution. Mother Ostankya knows no mercy. From the smoke, she will rise to claim her price in blood. So heed the warning of the wise, or be lost to the mists of the wood. In the forests far north of the oblasts, an ancient Kislevite outpost sees activity once more. Mother Ostankya emerges, for she senses the demons of Khorne muster against the motherland in this place. If it is bloody slaughter they want, the hag shall deliver. The smoke spirits of her cauldron shall see to that. Along the mountains of Morn, other forces of nature dwell, perhaps to be of use, or simply to meet their end in the cataclysms to come.
I will reclaim these hovels for old Kislev. Trespassers be cursed.
So, first off, I really like Ostankya's voice actress. I think she does a pretty good job. She's got some great lines. There was a reason I was playing the 3 different lines there at the beginning of the video when you select her as your Legendary Lord. And I will admit, of the 3 Legendary Lords in this DLC, this is my favorite. I really do like her. I like, I like some of her units in her army, I will admit. And it will take a little bit for you to actually try and get a full actual Kislev army, unless you want to just stack your army of the units she has on her own, and I'll explain that in a moment. She also has a pretty fun mechanic, which I know some people are not too fond of this, but I actually do like the idea behind it, especially since I have mods that will dramatically increase the amount of currency and resource, and I'll explain that in a moment. That you are required to use in this campaign. So, Daughters of the Forest. Mother Ostankya must obtain 6 forbidden hexes to unleash upon the world, each guarded by those intent on keeping these powers away from her. Claiming the first 5 hexes uncovers the 6th and most terrible hex, the ultimate punishment for Kislev's enemies, the Malediction of Ruin. Successfully performing the final hex will lead to campaign victory. Hexes reveal themselves as Mother Ostankya uses spirit essence gathered from winning battles, purging corruption, and occupying magical forests, in turn powering her witch's hut, incantations, and the hexes themselves. Striking out from the shadowy forest of Kislev, the Daughters of the Forest convene in the witch's hut to harness the magic of special relics, allowing Mother Ostankya to conjure powers that can bless the worthy or curse her foes. Now let me explain spirit essence real quick. You can see it's up here. As Kislev's guardian, Mother Ostankya can harness the raw magic of the Beyond to cajole souls into enabling her curses, blessings, and hexes. It's primarily gained from fighting battles and maintaining low levels of corruption. It's used to perform hexes and create incantations in the witch's hut. This is also going to be your main currency as well when it comes to your tech tree, you'll see here. Now some you, I guess, can just kind of get for free, like the main Kislev ones, but the ones that are going to be, like, you're using to buff, like, the different like hexes and such for Kislev, you have to use here. And like it said, the more you use, the more it'll reveal where the different hexes are, and you can see they're listed up here. Like we already have a mission to get the first hex right here, which is like to go defeat an army belonging to that faction over here, and we will get the first one unlocked, which is it removes all corruption from a targeted settlement province. And keep in mind, there's also going to be empowered versions of these hexes as well, which some can get stupidly strong. Like to the point where it's just kind of broken. Where if this was like a PvP thing, you'd be calling BS against the player for being able to use some of that, you know. Also, it lets you know what you need to do in order to actually unlock the ability to find out where this hex is and acquire it, which is you have to use up 100 more Spirit Essence in order to be able to actually get and gain access. You have to spend 1,500 to get this one here before you can get access to the last one, which is part of your campaign victory here. You can see here, obtain the 5, and then you can successfully unleash the Malediction of Ruin, which I heard is so stupidly overpowered. As in, like, you use that on a faction, and it basically deletes the faction from the campaign. Like, it gives them an absurdly stupid amount of attrition, like 90% attrition, like on their faction constantly. And it's just kind of like, well, you basically hit the delete button on this faction with this hex. Now, if you're wondering, well, how does the hex thing work, actually? Well, I will actually get to that in a second. We actually have to go ahead and get a couple of trinkets here. So I'm going to go ahead and play this for a couple of turns, just so you guys can get an idea of how this works. So this is, of course, Ostankya. So she has 2 quests to acquire that cauldron as well as her crown of claws. The cauldron buffs her winds of magic power, reserve capacity, explosive missile damage. She has Locust of the Winds, which is reserves per second, as well as spellcaster plus 40% spell mastery, and attribute mastery of the elemental winds for the embedded witch heroes in her army. The crown gives her less corruption for the province, more spell resistance, more missile resistance, more ward save, Locust of the Winds, reserves per second, and more missile resistance as a ability for the Crown of Claws. she is on a chariot, so she doesn't get a mount. She's got a number of different things, including, the various different spells here. I believe it might actually show what exactly she uses as a lore, I think. Yeah, there's... No, the Hag Mother, that's her trait. I guess it doesn't exactly... Okay, so Lore of Beasts and Lore of Shadows is apparently what she's able to learn here. So that's her lore. I've heard some people say there's actually a lore of hags in Warhammer, and I'm a little surprised that they didn't do that. Maybe that might get added in a patch later on, I'm not sure. So she starts off here in a minor faction, the Dolganir Forests. I might be mispronouncing that. The landmark here is, of course, her own hut, which gives her more spirit essence per turn and reduces the spirit essence cost for hexes. Ignore the income generated percentage. Again, that's a mod. I have a number of mods already set up for this. And more diplomatic relations with Kislev. Now remember, she's way up here in the Chaos area. Kislev is way down over here, but she can be able to still get contact with them. And here's the other thing I want to show you guys. You'll notice this here. You must control one of Kislev, Erengrad, or Prague, or be allied with their Kislevite owner in order to construct this building. Otherwise, she cannot construct some of these normal Kislev buildings. Like, she can't construct, the training fields coming of ice. She can't fully upgrade this, at least. Well, she can if it's in the capital. But like some of these other ones, she can't make the toolmaker and smithery. Now she's got this other unique tree called the Eerie Woods, which can become the Silent Grove, and then the Haunted Forest. So she has some unique buildings to get by on her own without having to. She also cannot make a Orthodoxy shrine unless she's allied. She also has apparently a limit to how many of these type of buildings she can actually make, because when I was testing this out, I was able to make these 3, but when I got to the capital to make this building here, the market square, it wouldn't let me. It was like, you've reached the max level of these type of buildings you can make. So there's a limited amount of what you can make with her on her own, unless she either goes down and takes Kislev for herself, or if she becomes allied with them. So yeah, I guess because she fights on behalf of Kislev against Chaos, she's not exactly disliked too much by Kislev. She's not exactly hated by them. So anyways, let's go ahead and see if I can show you guys the cauldron. And she does have the ice court. You can unlock that in the tech tree. Interesting that there was no force here. You can just go straight there. Keep in mind also that there are some ogres as well as some beastmen, and even if you want to fully capture the province you're in, you gotta take out these dwarves over here, which usually Kugath goes over there. At least when I play Kugath, I go after the dwarves, because we all know how much Kugath hates dwarves. So you can be able to go here, and then if you want to start setting up some buildings, you can. Looks like I'm going to have to hold off and wait a turn before we can try and unlock this. Again, we'll just go ahead and do some stuff here. Again, I've had mods to buff up the amount of points that I can be able to acquire, so just ignore the stuff I have. Don't take what you're seeing on screen as like, oh, that's what that's how this faction works. No, again, I play with mods. Do not take this as solidly what you're gonna get if you don't play this game without mods.
Need must be great. Spirits, I see. I ever not. Magic is not the only way. Kill for Kislev!
There are places where the Coven's magic seeps from the land, befouled by the blight of corruption. The daughters answer with a purifying chant to purge the rot, at least for a time.
So she gets a new trinket. I'll explain that in a moment. Just gotta get past all this stuff here. So, this is the mechanic that she uses. Does it look familiar? So, you guys remember Grom the Paunch and his big boiling pot of cooking ingredients for meals? That's pretty much what this is here. So, when you take down various different enemies and, or form an alliance, yeah, it says, like for example, form an alliance with or defeat a Wood Elf's army in battle, and you'll get this trinket that you can be able to use to create either a blessing or a curse. So, in this case, what we got here was this here and this here. And that can become a Bear's Bulwark, which some of these can be absurdly strong. Like this one, mass 100% and charge bonus, you can give these to a unit. And keep in mind, if you have a ton of Spirit Essence, you can just create a whole bunch of these. You can create 20 of these, and you can put them on your entire 20-sec army. Or you could put these, if they're a curse, you can put these on an enemy army. So you can be able to just kind of like put hexes on the entire enemy army. So you can just go kind of, if you have all this stuff and you have enough Spirit Essence, you can go absolutely nuts and crazy with this. And it can be just kind of amazing in that regard. And these are basically banners. And you can use them along with banners. Which is like, holy mackerel, that sounds incredible. Just incredibly strong. So we'll use some more to get this, which is more campaign movement range, which is always nice. And now we shall do a hex on this province.
Widow, blessed saint.
Which clears the area of corruption and gives us our first hero. We can cleanse the north. It's like, I've already gotten that. And it's like, go ahead and make another incantation. I will in a bit.
Inspire the conscripts with frugality.
So that's basically the gist of the mechanic and how her campaign works. Like I said, the Ice Court is here if you want to take advantage of that, because she's a Kislev faction.
Our proud land is tainted.
Gotta get to tier 3 in order to get her Witch's Hut, which will help you with your Spirit Essence if you're not playing with mods like I do. And yeah, I can go ahead and get rid of that and put that there, which I would recommend, so you can get the full tier 5 benefit of that building. But yeah, this is the main thing that you'll be using quite a bit throughout here, which can get really strong. And of course, the more you spend, because like it says, you have to spend these Spirit Essences in order to be able to unlock more of the hexes. And as again, nothing to do with the Realms of Chaos campaign. This is just your campaign. You're kind of going around doing battles, making alliances to get more Spirit Essence and spending Spirit Essence so you can be able to get more of the hexes. And once you be able to do that, you'll be able to win the campaign. So right away, I really like Ostankya as my favorite of the three. Not to mention that she has these really cool beast-like units for her armies. I want to show you guys the Incarnate Elemental Beasts in action because, well, I think I've made it clear that I tend to love when these armies have these giant, like, monster-like units that can just wreak havoc on armies, and it's just kind of a joy to watch. Like, these things go in and just swing and just cause, like, big infantries to just go flying. It's just awesome to watch. So if I had to choose the three, I would pick Ostankya as my favorite. Now, you're probably wondering, what about the other one, the third one we haven't looked at yet? Well, I'll explain when we get to him. So when we return, we'll be looking at one of Tzeentch's most clever and cunning servants, I guess we could say. Stay tuned.